Now, as a brand, Kia has made a lot of great strides toward improving the company's image here in the United States. One vehicle that's been fully responsible for that is the company's best-selling vehicle, the midsize Optima sedan. Today, I'm taking a look at the fully redesigned 2016 model. Let's take a look and see if this fourth generation carries on the Optima's traditional strengths of offering a lot of value and style in a segment not typically known for it. Now, when Kia first introduced the midsize Optima back in 2001, it was merely just a rebadged Hyundai Sonata. Now, during the time, Kia was known as a brand that was even lower in the totem pole versus Hyundai, which was still working on improving the brand's image. Now, when the company introduced the all-new third generation Optima in 2010, it was widely responsible for turning the Kia brand around. It quickly became the company's best-selling vehicle, with Kia moving over 150,000 units every year and very consistently. Now, you can thank that vehicle for turning the brand around thanks to Peter Schreier. That was around the time when the company acquired the head designer from Audi, and his bold design of the Optima was widely responsible for attracting a lot of new buyers into showroom. It basically brought in buyers who were tired of seeing the same cookie-cutter family sedan in the Honda and Toyota showrooms. Now, for 2016, Kia is redesigning the Optima, and from the looks of it, it's more evolutionary versus revolutionary. I mean, Kia didn't want to mess too much with the success of the previous generation, and you can see the front of the car sports the same traditional Kia design languages, the tiger nose grille, the same bold, wide stance, these projector beam headlights. Now, regarding the trim levels, my particular one is a new trim for 2016. It's the LX Turbo model. It's equipped with the new 1.6-liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder and a 7-speed dual-clutch automated manual transmission. Now, this is the same powertrain that you're going to find in the Hyundai Sonata Eco and that Hyundai Tucson that I showed you guys earlier. Now, from there you can choose several different trims, starting at the base LX. Mine is the LX Turbo. There's an EX, an SX, and then an SX Limited, or Kia just calls it a Limited sometimes as well. Now, you can see the overall length of this vehicle. It's basically right in the middle of the midsize family sedan segment. Kia didn't really alter the dimensions for this new one. It still rides around 191 inches long, same 110-inch long wheelbase. It is about an inch wider and maybe about a half an inch lower, just to give the car an even more aggressive premium look. Overall, I really can't see many differences. When you look at the rear of the car on the 16 model, Kia did change the taillights. The shape is still pretty much there, so you're going to still distinguish this as an Optima. Another design cue that they kept from the third generation is the chrome strip that starts all the way from the roof, or from the upper front door. It extends all the way back to the trunk lid. It's a signature design theme that a lot of owners really liked, so Kia decided to keep it there and make it a little bit more refined. Now, overall in the segment, I think that it looks still pretty nice. It's definitely not the only vehicle in the class anymore that's a looker. You can basically look at a Mazda 6 or a Ford Fusion if you guys also want the same stylistically designed family sedan. But let's take a look at the interior for now and see some of the changes that Kia made versus the previous generation. Now, when you enter the cabin of the redesigned 2016 Optima, this is where you're going to notice that Kia made probably the most changes. Now, it will still take a little bit of a trained eye to spot the differences, but in terms of the dashboard design, the company has gotten rid of that driver-focused dash in the previous generation and replaced it with something a little bit more traditional, a little bit more upscale. You can see my LX Turbo model does come standard with these cloth seats. They are surprisingly comfortable, and the cloth material is a lot nicer and higher quality versus the previous Kia Hyundai cloths that I've experienced in the past. Now, stepping inside the vehicle, it's a really easy step-in height, as you expect. This is a mid-sized family sedan. They are known for having a good step-in height, and it's just a really easy car to live with on an everyday basis. Now, shutting the door, It has the same solid thunk that you associated from the previous generation, so that quality feel is still there. And now you can see my tester is the LX Turbo. It does come standard with Kia's push-button start, and then their intelligent access key. This is the same key fob Kia has been using for a few years now. It is a little bit big for my taste. There is a newer key fob design that I've seen on some of their other products, but I do like the start-stop button. It is a nice metallic finish with the red color, so to start the vehicle, all you have to do is put your foot on the brake and then push the button to start the engine. And then, of course, you're hearing an all-new powertrain option for 2016. This is the 1.6-liter turbocharged direct injection engine with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. We'll go out on the test drive later on. It's a pretty impressive powertrain for this class of vehicle. Now you can see, looking at the rest of the interior, this dashboard design is certainly a little bit less distinctive in my eyes versus the previous generation. The old one had a very driver-focused dash that was angled toward the driver. I really liked that. I do like the new gauges that Kia has put on this car. They're a little bit easier to read versus the inner pods of the previous generation. They also look classy. They look very nice. The materials in here are also very nice. You can see my tester is a lower trim, but you still have a nice leather stitching portion here on the dashboard. It's all soft touch, and everything in here fits very well. This lower portion area is hard touch plastic, but the door panels right here are also soft touch. You can see I actually have memory seats in my LX Turbo model, so that's kind of unexpected. Usually you expect a fully loaded model to get that. It is leather padded right here as well, and then some more of the probably faux leatherette on the door panels here just to make it a little bit nicer. The window is automatic up down for the driver and front passengers, so it's nice to see Kia include that. The mirrors are also power folding. It's kind of really nice that Kia includes that standard on even the base LX model. So when you lock the door, the mirrors will fold automatically when you have it in the automatic setting. Now, looking at the rest of the center stack here, it reminds me a lot of a BMW or the Mazda 6, honestly, which is very similar to a BMW where the infotainment system is up here. I like the hard buttons that Kia has included and the big knobs. There's a knob for volume, a knob for tuning, a knob for your climate controls. Honda really needs to look at this interior and go with something like this, because this is what I think is better and what most people in this class prefer versus the stupid touch-sensitive controls that you'll find in some of the competitors. Now, there is a nice storage down here with a USB, two 12-volt outlets, and aux port. If you want to hide your phone in there, you can also close that, and it's a very nice area to store stuff. The transmission, you can see on my tester, is a 7-speed dual clutch. It's a new shifter, which I also like the feel of the shifter. It feels very Audi-esque. Again, it comes from the fact that Peter Schreier used to work for Audi. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you do have a nice backup camera with some trajectory and then some back rear parking sensors, which is included in the technology package on my tester. Now, coming to the infotainment display, you can see here the Optima is actually the first Kia vehicle, or at least the Kia Hyundai vehicle, to get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. My particular tester does not have it because it's an early production model. It's a later availability, so I would suggest if you guys want the Apple or the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you wait a couple months for Kia to actually release it. This system here is basically the same Kia Uvo head unit that you're going to find in all the other models. This is basically the home screen here. It works where it splits the nav system there, and then if you have your audio, it'll split the audio there. There are all your buttons down here, so if you need to access your radio sources, you can see here you have all your media sources here, FM, AM, XM. You'd also have what Kia calls SoundHound, where it'll actually listen to whatever music is playing, and it'll tell you who's singing it. When you go to your media sources here, that'll basically give you things like Bluetooth streaming audio, your iPod hookup down there, your phone settings here. If you connect to a Bluetooth phone, this car does have Bluetooth streaming audio, and Bluetooth is standard. The backup camera, by the way, is also standard. The previous generation, you had to get it as an option package even on the higher trim SX model. So it's nice to see that Kia is including a couple more standard features here. Now, going to the map display here, when you push the map display, it's the same traditional Kia Hyundai head unit they've been using for years. It gets the job done for this class of car. I'd like to see Kia upgrade it a little bit more, just to differentiate it a little bit from the Hyundai brand and make this car a little bit more premium. Now, you can see here my tester does have dual zone auto climate control, another unexpected feature in this class at this price point. There's some more additional storage down here. There is a drive mode selector button here, which alters between eco, sport, and normal. For the majority of my drive, I'll leave it normal, since that's probably what you guys are going to be doing anyways. The center console here is nicely padded with leather. It does have some storage there, not two-tier. The armrest itself doesn't adjust, but it's at a really good angle, so you don't really need it to. The LX Turbo is not available with a sunroof. You can get this car on a sunroof on EX and up models. It's an option. It's part of a premium package, and it's a big panel sunroof. There's no standard size sunroof like in some of its competitors. Now, overall, I think the cabin of this car is still very upscale. Even this base model, I'm surprised with all the features it gives you. Even the blind spot monitoring and the rear cross traffic alert, it's all included in even this base model. It's nice that Kia throws in that strong value quotient versus some of its competitors. Now, the rear seat of the Optima is also an area where a mid-size family sedan shopper is going to really notice. It's a pretty roomy back seat. Now, it's not class leading in terms of spaciousness, but you can see the floor in the center is almost nearly flat. Some vehicles will give you a little bit more legroom, but nevertheless, the Optima offers a ton of space back here in typical mid-size sedan fashion. Now, I'm pretty short. I'm only 5'7", but you can see here I have plenty of room here to stretch my legs out. I can cross my legs if I want. The seat backs over here are hard touch, but there is dual storage here, dual map pockets, and it's nice to see Kia include 2 vents back here as well as some power outlets. Now, shutting the door, the materials are actually the same soft touch from the front, more leather stitching right here. Upper trims will offer heated rear seats. My particular one obviously doesn't have it, but looking at the rest of the back seat here, there is a nice armrest here with some cup holders. The seats themselves are also a 60-40 split, which is nice to have. Some of the competitors like the Accord, it makes you choose a higher trim to get the split folding rear seats. Now, the trunk capacity of the Optima has also been a strong suit. The previous generation had class-leading space, and you can see Kia didn't really change it for this new one. You're looking at just under 16 cubic feet of space. You can see the seats do fold down 60-40. One thing that Kia did remove is the temporary spare tire. Now you just get a mobility kit or a fix-a-flat kit, so it's kind of annoying that Kia's taken that out, but it's again to save weight, to give you a little bit more trunk space. And overall, this car is pretty practical. There are hinges that will crush your cargo, but Kia does put some nice covering over the hinges. This new Optima, you are looking at a new engine choice for 2016. This is the company's 1.6 liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder. The GDI stands for gasoline direct injection. You can hear it ticking away. That's a normal characteristic of a DI motor. Now, this is the fuel economy choice, if you can believe it. It's the same option in the Sonata Eco. Now, the numbers are pretty good. It's rated at about 175 horsepower and about 195 pound-feet of torque. Now, compare that to the standard 2.4 liter gasoline direct injection engine, which makes 185 horsepower, a little bit more, but also less torque, about 10 less pound-feet of torque. Now, the Optima with this powertrain only comes with a 7-speed dual-clutch automated manual. The other trims will have a traditional 6-speed automatic. The upgrade engine from this is the 2-liter turbo engine, which now makes 245 horsepower, which is down significantly from the 274 in the previous generation, just like the Sonata. Now, fuel economy is where Kia really improved it. This particular one that I'm driving is rated at a very impressive 28 in the city and 39 on the highway. Now, that's compact car numbers for a mid-size class car. If you guys go for the standard 2.4, you can get up to 25-37 on the base LX models. The 2-liter turbo is now rated at 22-32. Now, all Optimas are front-wheel drive. They all use regular gas. Let's get out on the road and take a look at how this powertrain combination all works, shall we? So first, setting off in the all-new 2016 Optima, which honestly I had to use the term new a little bit hesitantly because the design of this car really doesn't look all that new to me. One thing I am noticing about the drive is there is a feeling of solidity that the old one sometimes always didn't have. There was kind of an inconsistency in the driving dynamics for quality feel, and this new one feels very solid. It feels even more solidly built versus the previous generations in terms of feel. Now, this 1.6 turbo continues to impress me in the way that it feels from behind the wheel. Compared to the Tucson that I just showed you guys, this car is a tad lighter because it is not all-wheel drive. It's not as heavy versus the SUV Tucson. And the powertrain is rather quick for a family sedan, at least. This car accelerates with authority, and I do like how quickly the dual-clutch transmission shifts. Now, in typical Hyundai Kia fashion, the engine could use a little bit more refinement, especially at high revs. When you do push this engine, it does get a little bit coarse and grainy in the higher rev ranges. And honestly, it has a lot of low-end torque that you really don't want to rev the crap out of it like you do in some other competing four-cylinder engine families. The engine has a lot of mid-range grunts, so when you just put your foot down, the transmission puts it in just the right gear, and the car accelerates with authority, and it feels plenty powerful, especially for those who are used to driving a mid-size family sedan like this. One thing I immediately noticed when I first drove this new generation is the ride quality has really improved. Now, a couple years ago when Hyundai and Kia were redesigning their vehicles, they got the style right, they got the value right, but the one thing they didn't really get right was the driving dynamics and the ride quality. They all had really stiff and rather uncomfortable rides. They were just a little jittery. They didn't feel as buttoned down as some of the competitors, and they've gotten that down now. This glides over a rough pavement just as well as a Camry, just as well as an Accord. It doesn't feel floaty like some of the competitors may do, so it still feels very European, very buttoned down. And the steering, Hyundai and Kia still have not gotten it perfected, but it is getting there. Now, for those of you who are, in this class of vehicle, you're really not going to notice, you're not going to complain as much as an enthusiast, as much as myself. You're going to find the steering to be sharp, to be accurate. It is just a little bit on the numb side, which is how most of the family sedans in this class are, but overall, you're going to be really pleasantly surprised with the driving dynamics. This is a car that has very few annoyances, and that's the whole purpose of buying a midsize sedan. You buy it as a daily driver. It's got a huge back seat, it's got a huge trunk, it gets really good gas mileage, and it's just a really easy car to live with on a day-by-day basis, just to drive to and from work, to take it on long trips. You can see here the quietness in this cabin is also greatly improved. Kia added more sound deadening materials, thicker glass where it really matters, and it pays off. The interior is pretty luxury car hushed in here. So again, very lacking in annoyances. Now, the steering, I'm going to switch it over to the sport mode here, and when you put into sport mode, the transmission gets out of its higher gears. It's a little bit more eager to shift, and the steering also gets a little bit heavier. It's got an artificial weight or heaviness to it, which I don't necessarily like. It's kind of just substituting weight for feel, which I would prefer a little bit more road feel. But again, this car still is surprisingly fun to drive when you have it in the sport mode, partly because of that dual clutch transmissions. There aren't very many vehicles in this class that offer a dual clutch. Most of them offer traditional automatics and the CVT option, which I truly hate. So you guys are looking for something a little bit different. You may find a lot to like with this dual clutch transmission in the Optima and its twin, the Sonata. Now, when you do get it going, you will notice a little bit of slight hesitation. It's got that traditional quirkiness of a dual clutch. It's not the smoothest dual clutch, so those of you who aren't used to it will take some time to actually get used to it. But when it gets all going, I'd expect the 0 to 60 time in this car around the low 8 second to maybe even the high 7 second range, maybe like 7.8. It's a relatively quick car, and the quick, lightning quick shifts are really going to be that positive. It's going to make you feel like you're driving a car that's a lot quicker than the numbers would suggest. Now you can see here, going around a twisty road here, the Optima does surprisingly well. The steering gets a nice weight to it when you do have it in sport mode. The transmission, when it does get its way together, and it does shift relatively quickly. There are no paddle shifters in this car, which I would have liked, but you can see here, just mid throttle at 2,500 RPM to about 3,500. This car has a lot of torque, and it feels sufficiently fast. And to be honest, it's actually, in terms of the numbers, compared to the 2-liter turbo, at least on the Sonata Twin, this motor is actually quicker 0 to 60 versus that larger 2-liter upgrade. Now, another thing that Kia did improve on when they redesigned the Optima is the safety features. The old Optima was not available with anything like forward emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning. This new one now offers it. Basically, it offers the automatic emergency braking where it'll come to a full stop. It offers the adaptive smart cruise control, which will follow the car in front of you, not to a full stop, but up until about 18 miles an hour. It has lane departure warning now, in addition to the blind spot monitoring and the cross traffic alert. Now, to get those features, you do have to go up past the LX Turbo to the EX, the SX, the limited trims, those will include it. And it's basically features that were reserved for luxury cars back in the day. And it's nice to see that Kia has joined the bandwagon and offering it on their midsize family sedan. Now, there is an eco badge on the back of my particular tester, and regarding the fuel economy, this is an area where I was pretty adamant about getting close to the EPA numbers. The EPA rates this car at 28 in the city, 39 in the highway, and luckily I've actually been able to average close to 28 miles per gallon in mostly city driving. Now on the highway, I did push this car up to about 37 miles per gallon. That's pretty impressive considering this is how big this car is. It's getting the same gas miles that you get from compact cars, from today's compact cars. So it's nice to see that Kia has really stepped up the fuel economy numbers, especially with this 1.6 liter turbo. Now, for all this technology, all this features, all this nice looks, you'd expect the Optima to increase in price, and that's an area where Kia didn't change. Compared to the 2015 model, the Optima starts at $21,800, which is the same price as last year's 2015 model. So it's nice to see that Kia didn't up the price. My particular LX Turbo is about $2,000 more. It's about $23,900 for the turbo engine upgrade, in addition to the 7-speed dual clutch and the keyless access with push button start. Now, my particular tester does have what they call a technology package that rolls in a lot of niceties: LED taillights, the 8-inch navigation display, the blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. For the technology package, it's about $2,600 upgrade. So my tester is about $27,500, which is still a really great deal considering, the memory seats you get, the nav, the backup camera, the rear backup sensors. I mean, there aren't a lot of cars that you can equip like this. If you guys wanted to build a similarly equipped Accord, there is no trim that gives you all these features. You have to go for like an Accord EXL with navigation, and that gives you leather and some other features, and it's over $30,000. So it's nice to see that Kia does offer a specific way you can build a car. Basically, the only car that offers a similar way you can build it is like a Fusion or even maybe a Camry. A Camry will offer similar ways to build a car, where you can get like a base model with nav and memory seats. Now, if you guys want the fully loaded Optima, that's a car that will give you all those technology features I mentioned, in addition to the surround view 360-degree camera and quilted leather seats. That's the limited trim. The sticker on that one is about $36,600, which is pretty darn expensive. It's about $1,000 more than a Honda Accord Touring. And, to be honest, Kias aren't necessarily the cheapest offering anymore unless you stick to the lower trims. When you look at the higher trims, they give you a lot of features, and they're basically asking the same kind of money you're going to pay for a lot of its competitors. So at that point, I would probably say stick to the lower trims and you'll get more bang for your buck. The higher trims, you really have to love the Kia brand and love the style to be able to swallow that high $36,000 sticker price. But anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this 2016 Kia Optima. I'm pretty impressed with it. I probably would choose it over the Sonata sister just because I like the interior of this one. I like the exterior design more of the Optima versus the Sonata. But, in terms of this class, I definitely prefer it more than the Altima. I prefer it more than the Passat. At least I haven't driven the 16 model, at least the 15 model. I prefer this one. I also prefer this more than the Fusion. I like the dual clutch transmission versus the standard 6-speed auto in the Ford. But again, it's something that you guys have to get used to. Anyways, if you guys are looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and keep subscribed to the YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.